And welcome back, everybody, for episode 3 of Call of Cthulhu. Last time we talked our way to a door for Warehouse 36 after getting a knee straight to the berries, but, you know, private detective, you gotta roll with it.
Ugh, this place stinks.
Some new diary entries. Cat 24, she's gang boss. Boss of a gang of bootleggers which seems to use dark water as a hideout. Cat always keeps an eye on her territory. The zone of abandoned warehouses on the docks. I have the impression that all the men on Darkwater fear her. Even Mitchell, the owner of the stranded whale, is reluctant to talk about her. She uses Darkwater as the point of departure for her cargoes of whiskey, and she is slowly gnawing away at Captain Fitzroy's territory. Still don't have enough CP to level anything up. Yeah, right? Made a name for herself quick. I think the next thing I'll level up is probably investigation.
What is the connection between this place and the Sarah Hawkins case?
Oh, that's... Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. What? Okay. Reconstruction scene.
What happened here?
Punched a mirror. Can't tell who that's supposed to be. This is kind of a cool mechanic.
Who has enough money to buy painkillers, but stays in a place like this? It smells as bad as it looks.
It looks pretty bad.
Can't sleep. I know how that feels.
I do too.
Is this one of Sarah Hawkins' paintings?
Not quite done yet.
What is this picture of Charles and Sarah Hawkins doing here?
Somebody was living in the warehouse? Hand her to me, diary. Oh, I haven't looked at any of these yet. On the approaches to Darkwater, I saw thick clouds masking the sky. They were so low they seemed intent on impaling themselves on the sharp reefs that circle the island. Fitzroy, the captain of the only tub that manages to float to the mainland, offered to help me. He may have documents that belong to Charles Hawkins. Fitzroy advised me to visit the port's bar. He mentioned a little pick-me-up. Suppose I could get the lay of the land at the same time. Fishermen have gathered around the carcass of a killer whale. I could have a look and see what the local cops have got to tell me. They told me nothing. Captain Fitzroy offered to share with me what he has found on Hawkins in the archives in the harbor master's office. I learned nothing from Fitzroy's documents, but I did get confirmation on what I'd been suspecting since Boston. The warehouse mentioned on the shipping label of Sarah Hawkins' painting belongs to Hawkins. It's on the docks, must find a way to get in. A gang of bootleggers occupies the warehouse zone. Of course, they're standing between my trail and me. I've got to find a way to avoid them or else get rid of them to continue my investigation. I did a deal with Kat. She allows me entrance to the Hawkins warehouse in exchange for a debt that she'll collect on at some time in the future. An abandoned warehouse, I found a partly submerged tunnel that leads to the bootleggers' territory. Not sure if I was hallucinating. As I stepped deeper into the dark waters for a moment, I felt as if a creature had caught hold of... I don't remember that happening. I need 6 for that. Oh, it does go up with each point. Okay. Something to keep in mind. Oh, I didn't... Officially unused since Charles Hawkins' death, this warehouse recently housed a clandestine resident. Signs of life attest to the fact. The presence of blood-stained bandages must also be noted, probably removed from a wound, as well as pills, painkillers, and sleeping pills. Moreover, the occupant seems to be obsessed with Sarah Hawkins, as attested to the presence of several documents connected to the artist's life. Photograph, press cutting. Is the discovery of a partly charred painting recognized by Officer Bradley as having come from the Hawkins Mansion that allows all doubts to be lifted as to the link between the contents of the building and the Hawkins case. Okay. That's a slight complaint. Probably the first one I have so far is...
Someone has settled in here.
And whoever it is has something to tell me about the Hawkins case. Is there anyone in there? You! Don't move! Detective Pierce. I told you to stay away from this warehouse.
Yeah, it's far from... Yeah, no. You guys fucked up.
Wound up? You mean messed up?
Dog. We don't take no lessons from the likes of you.
Well, you should.
We do our job carefully and fairly.
And badly.
No stone was left unturned.
Really? Can you explain what this painting is doing here?
This strange portrait. Wait, I know it. It was in the Hawkins Mansion when we came to investigate the fire.
So you confirm that it was removed from the crime scene? Interesting. I'd like to go and see the mansion now.
Of course. You want to go back along his trail?
Yeah.
I'd like to understand how this painting made it to here. Come on. My car's parked down the way.
Oh, which one?
Andrews, would you please shut the door? Open your eyes, damn it. This guy went right under your nose.
Ah, cool.
God damn it. Her again. This case has nothing to do with you, Baker. Clear the passage or I'll shut you up for obstruction.
Officer Bradley, you've finally grown a pair. Too bad you're too fat to see them down there.
He's not
Where
fat.
are you?
Come on, keep the smile. You don't want to force me to widen it.
Okay, I get it. Can we go to the mansion now?
I thought I'd straightened you out, mister. I am disappointed, but we'll meet again.
Is it far, this mansion?
Look behind you, at the top of the ridge. You see the building? That's the Hawkins Mansion. Come on, we got some driving to do.
Gotta have a great view when it's not, fogged out and cloudy. Pierce managed to get into the warehouse. The place, thought to be abandoned, revealed some surprises, signs of a recent occupation, as well as a partly charred painting. Interrupted by Officer Bradley, Pierce convinced him to join his investigation. The police officer is willing to drive the detective to the Hawkins Mansion, where I'm sure all manner of hell awaits. Yeah, the THX intro. The audience is now deaf. That's probably the Silas that the cop told me about earlier.
Well, here we are. Hawkins Mansion. The place has been abandoned since the fire. There's only old Winchester in his hut.
Because Nintendo doesn't do things that make sense. We've been nil.
I see no scorched trees or fire damage on the building.
Yeah?
You're pretty damn observant, ain't you? The fire was quickly contained. Old Silas acted as soon as he could.
Not soon enough to save the Hawkins.
They were trapped in the drawing room. And don't go troubling Silas anymore. His guilt torments him enough as it is. Are we gonna take a closer look at this mansion, or do you have other questions?
Oh, I got questions out the ass.
You won't get me to believe that it looked any better 3 months ago.
It's a very old building, you know? Its foundations would probably date from the arrival of the first settlers.
Huh. It's really that old.
Come on, let's leave the stories of the dead alone. They've nothing to do with your case anyhow. Let's go up there. Unless you still have questions.
I don't appreciate you trying to rush me from doing my job.
You're the one who looked after the Hawkins case.
Don't think I was trying to hide it. It's just that this discovery shakes my convictions.
That's why you're so keen to find out who removed the painting from the mansion.
Yes. If something escaped us, or if there's been a law enforcement error, then it's up to the police to make good its mistake. Anything else?
Oop, shit. I leaned on the volume button on my headset.
Your partner, Andrews, warned me against him.
You managed to get something out of that bum? I'll end up asking you for advice.
He talks too much. He inferred that old Silas was slightly unhinged.
In so many
That's
words.
not far off the mark, I suppose. But kinda unfair at the same time. You know, Silas Winchester has been working for the Hawkins family as far back as I can remember. Charles was like a son to him. The day of the fire, he lost his whole family, so he's got nowhere to go. And, as you'll see, in a way, he's still watching over them. Is there anything else you want to ask me? Or do you want to go up there?
I will tell you when I'm done asking questions.
I prefer to be prepared if there's going to be trouble.
It's a wise attitude. But apart from old Silas and some rotten floorboards, there's nothing to worry about.
Could he be a problem?
Strictly speaking, he ain't dangerous. But since the tragedy, he's been a little touched. Though, he's a remarkably sturdy man, given his age. A true force of nature.
A sad old man doesn't worry me.
Gee, if you don't want to listen to my advice, we might as well go. Right?
Yes, now I'm done.
Night falls quickly here, and I want to be able to see when we arrive.
I'll go with you, if only to reassure Silas.
Sure.
Why not? You can help.
Right. Let's go.
Now, hold on, I gotta check my diary. Officer Bradley drove us along the cliffs of Darkwater to the Hawkins Mansion. The huge house, set on the edge of a steep summit, looks onto the lighthouse. The place seemed to be abandoned for some time. Bradley told me about an old caretaker still living here. He shouldn't prevent us from getting to the mansion. Bradley, 37, police officer. This hick cop likes order and justice. He's no great sleuth, but he seems more inclined than his colleagues to discover the truth in the Hawkins case. The inhabitants of the island seem to be friendly with him. He could help me in my investigation. Hawkins Mansion is perched at the top of a steep cliff. The abandoned garden harbors the graves of the Hawkins family, and only the old caretaker, Silas Winchester, still roams this bleak spot. He protects it fiercely and still puts flowers on the graves of his old masters. It's a gloomy place. Oh, you are going that way. Okay.
Bradley was right. This place is much older than I imagined.
Top house built
But
in
the architecture seems too recent.
1693 by Reverend John Wickwood. Where did... Oh.
Someone must really hate Charles Hawkins.
I told you. Silas Winchester is still watching over the Hawkins family.
I must say, it's pretty gloomy.
So, Detective, does this place inspire any thoughts?
Why were they buried here?
I was given to believe that it was Charles Hawkins' wish.
Strange idea. I imagine Webster wasn't too pleased.
Mrs. Hawkins' father? It's said that he's devastated.
Do you know if Charles Hawkins had any enemies?
Not to our knowledge. He was a well-respected personality on the island. I don't understand. Silas would never have let such a thing happen.
Let's go to the mansion.
Please give me a minute. I didn't expect to set foot back here after the burial.
Poor
What
kid.
kind of deranged individual would defile this sanctuary? And steal a burnt painting? I don't see Silas doing such a thing. Let alone allowing it. Even that the
Flowers on Sarah Hawkins' grave are fresh. The old caretaker must be very attached to her.
Ready? Missing. I don't know if I'm supposed to wait for him or... I mean, you said give him a minute. Screw it. How very Addams Family. Interesting here.
This entrance is still in use.
Okay, well, I was going to reconnoiter the...
Whoa!
Hey now.
You are trying to force the door, you nosy prick!
Easy, sir, all right? Put down the axe.
You know what we do with rubble like you? We gut them. Dump them into the ocean.
Whoa! You're Mr. Winchester. Lower that axe. Let's talk calmly.
I'll show you how we have it out on Darkwater.
You haven't forgiven yourself. You stay here to honor the memory of the deceased.
That's true. I want no more violence. No more tragedy.
It's painful to be the last one left.
De-escalation.
You don't know how right you are. Understood. I'm listening.
The police report describes a domestic accident, but Stephen Webster has several reasons to believe that this may not be the case.
Webster is as stubborn as an old mule. And I did tell him that we should let the dead rest in peace.
He wants to restore the reputation of his daughter. I just need to see where the fire started.
No, I can't let you in. The mansion isn't safe.
That's why you barricaded the entrance.
That's right.
And this door?
It's locked, and I make sure it stays that way.
No one lives in the mansion, and you don't take care of it anymore. If you have a good reason to be here, I'm listening.
There's vermin. I keep an eye out.
Vermin.
Vermin.
Yeah, that's it. Vermin.
Right. This is what we're going to do. I go inside, and I promise that I'll hunt vermin. Okay with you?
I'm not sure.
If there's nothing else to fear, you can give me that.
Right. Take the key and do what you have to do. Go on, then. Just to get rid of you.
Let's see what more I can learn from this mansion.
Can't talk to him anymore. Take a look down here before I go in.
This gate is locked.
Just to get the full scope of the property. And nothing over here. This looks like it's probably Silas's shack down here. Can't take the axe. Wonder if I can get in there and snoop around. He's talking to Bradley. Aha! I can't get in. He's got one of those weird lamps too. Giving off that green light.
The poor wretch seems to spend the best part of his time isolated from the world. I know a thing or two about solitude myself.
Yep, so do I. I had a feeling. That's why I thought I could go around and sneak in through the window, but nope. No dice. Alright, let's head inside.
Pierce, shall we enter? Now that you've finished your fun and games with Silas, we can perhaps inspect the mansion.
You're right. Let's go. Let's take a look inside.
I'm with you.
Pierce and Officer Bradley explored the gardens of the Hawkins Mansion. Family lies in the graveyard of the property, guarded by Silas Winchester. The old caretaker, still faithful to his employers, keeps watch on the place, armed with his axe. Pierce and Bradley manage to calm him down and finally get a hold of the key to the Hawkins Mansion. They enter the building, looking for the scene of the fire. Loading.
Follow me. I know the place.
Sure.
Who left this light on?
Vermin.
The Last Supper of the Hawkins. What does this tell me?
Let's look deeper.
What kind of meat is this?
Actually, I can't tell.
This place is for the head of the family, Charles Hawkins.
Almost looks like some kind of giant squid, but not really. Well, I'm sure it's not important. Roast giant cuttlefish. Yeah, that could be. Looks like that's everything. No, that's not everything. It's not letting me leave. What am I missing? I definitely can't leave the reconstruction. Have I gotten soft locked somehow? Entrance hall of the mansion, the lighted lamp seems to be waiting for us. The old caretaker who thinks he can stop people from entering. Find the place where the Hawkins family died. En route, I'll pick up as much information as I can on their life. Drop a couple in the spot hidden just in case. Silas Winchester, 64, caretaker. The old caretaker of the Hawkins family, Silas Winchester, still watches over the family graveyard in the burned-out mansion. Devoted to Charles Hawkins, whom he all but raised, he also has great respect for the memory of Sarah Hawkins and their child Simon. His long month of solitude and the abandoned property have made him very distrustful. Silas still puts flowers on the graves of Charles, Sarah, and Simon. Oh.
The boy was probably here. Smashed his plate on the floor.
I did miss something.
Sarah Hawkins' plate. Why did she leave it untouched?
Yeah.
Something happened at this table. An argument?
What it almost looks like.
Hey, Pierce. Daydreaming again?
Working, officer. This dinner table tells us a lot about the Hawkins family life.
Well, we don't have all day. The scene of the fire is next door.
I would like a better light.
Silas managed to bring the fire under control, but it was already too late for the Hawkins.
Was Charles Hawkins some kind of explorer?
Charles Hawkins poses like an explorer in front of exotic ruins. It is common knowledge that he wasted away his fortune on expensive trips. What was he looking for? There's no, eventually there's going to be something on
Too
the
much
back
rubble.
of a picture.
I'll find an easier way. Charles and Sarah's wedding, as painted by Sarah herself.
An interesting effect in the background. Definitely not Burns.
Let's see if I can find something the cops missed.
Here we go.
The child's corpse left a trace. Where are the others?
And there's hidden stuff to find. Not surprising.
Was Charles Hawkins a heavy drinker?
Possibly.
If the painting I found on the docks really came from here, how come it didn't burn?
Very logical question.
They had a fight. Why? Did it stop at the time of the fire?
We'll, as usual, take a look through the journal after this.
Did Sarah Hawkins lose one of her shoes? How?
Over the corner. Oh.
Did someone escape the fire?
Certainly looks that way.
Blood. This lamp was thrown. This was no accident. This was a fight. Someone fell here. A desperate attempt to flee. And the boy.
So, Detective, what do you make of it?
Much of this evidence simply contradicts the investigation's findings.
Yep.
Really? Tell me about it.
I was under the impression the fire started around midnight.
Yes, Silas banged on our door around 1 a.m. Poor devil ran so hard he was almost belching his lungs out.
This clock burned before 10 p.m.
That's impossible. What you imply? Silas never would have hurt the Hawkins family.
Yep, totally.
Besides, Dr. Fuller confirmed the hour of death in his report. Your clock must have already have stopped.
Dr. Fuller?
A brilliant surgeon and a friend of the family. I'm sure he took the matter to heart. So, excuse me if I value his opinion over yours.
So be it. Let's move on. I can tell where young Simon was, but not his parents. Where were their bodies found?
I can't help you on that one. Charles and Sarah's bodies had already been carried away when I got here.
Mm-hmm.
Without your authorization. By whom?
Marshall, Andrews, Chief West. We never deal with cases like that, you know. So... well...
I found a bottle of whiskey. Empty.
well, that must have been a loss for you.
No glass. I suspect one of them drank heavily to calm down. Charles, most probably.
That's pretty thin. Who says that bottle hadn't been there for a while?
All right.
It would seem at least one person fled the crime scene.
What'd you say?
That mark on the door. Someone's hand slid down there. The left side has no mark. The door was open and that someone left.
For God's sake. I mean, if it's Charles or Sarah, they wouldn't have left their son.
They would rather die in the flames as a family instead of calling for help? I don't buy it.
I don't either.
Oh, yeah?
I suspect this lamp caused the fire.
That's what the investigation suggested, too.
But does your report mention the bloodstains? The lamp didn't fall, it was thrown at someone.
For heaven's sakes, no. The report doesn't mention that.
And for the final conclusion,
I firmly believe this fire was more than just an accident.
Huh. What's your theory?
I just told you. The most plausible seems like a fight. There's no evidence to support a crime of passion. No. No, it doesn't scream arson either. No.
I think the Hawkins couple got into a fight.
You sure of that?
There's only one way to be sure.
Right, Zephy? Let me show you why it's arson. Yeah.
I just ask that you don't disturb anything. If Chief West found out about what we're doing, I'd be in serious trouble.
I need a better light.
This door is locked.
Here. More vermin. I lied to Silas. I'm not hunting vermin.
These bandages are covered in dried blood. The same bandages that I saw in the warehouse on the docks. And given the bloodstains, I'd also say that it's the same person.
Now that, no. No, Ed. You can't extrapolate that.
The lyrics of the drunken sailor. A sea shanty.
Got some more hidden stuff around here. Can't get to that bookshelf. Aha! Crowbar. My God.
A crowbar. Could prove useful.
Could. Always will.
This door is blocked from the outside.
This isn't the crime scene. The crime scene is just the burnt room. This is gathering more information.
An original edition of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Nice.
Dated 1818.
Suddenly thunderstorm. Sounded like footsteps, but I'm not going up there yet. Human body, comparative analysis. Precise and very detailed treatise on the particularities of the human body compared to the animal world. Simplicity of its writing and vulgarization of its vocabulary make it accessible to the profane. More medicine progression, up to 26. Put another one in the spot hidden. That's coming in a lot of handy.
A book on the first inhabitants of the island. It seems they got here around the 14th century. This place was falling apart long before the fire.
Moby Dick.
Moby Dick, Melville's classic. The epic battle between man and whale.
Yeah, that always causes a problem when that happens.
Mandatory reading for any whaler, I guess.
Yeah.
This piano is in disrepair. Looks like the Hawkins kept it more for decoration than for music.
Table.
What do you know about Charles Hawkins' activities?
Well, not much, to be honest. We all assumed the Hawkins lived on Charles's inheritance.
A cool lightning effect.
If you're right, we should be able to find clues among the Hawkins' personal effects. Did you hear that?
I've been hearing it. Time to go upstairs.
Darkwater history. This place was settled back in 1692 by two families that seceded from the New England colonies.
The Puritans said, "Fuck England," and then the Darkwater people said,
A book
"Fuck
on
the
hunting
Puritans."
whales, the island's staple diet last century.
Can't say that I blame them. Oh.
There's something disturbing about this painting.
Yeah, this is a little weird.
20,000 leagues under the sea. Another story about the mysteries of the deep.
I mean, that's not too unusual for a place like this. Interesting that I'm picking these books up, though.
What could Sarah have done to make this person threaten to call the
Right.
police?
Dear sir, as you know, I have always held you and your family in high respect. Unfortunately, I can no longer continue to close my eyes on the behavior of your wife. Last week, she again terrified my clientele. I know that she means no harm, but you should place her in the care of Dr. Fuller. He alone seems to be able to make her come to her senses. If these disturbances were to recur, believe me that although I would feel like torture, I would be obliged to involve the police. Respectfully yours, Anton Wellard. I mean, it would make sense if she was plagued by strange visions. And probably ranting about them when they got too overpowering. Barman.
Locked.
Not locked. The son's room.
The boys' room.
Time to have another vision.
child's fort. From what threat was Simon protecting his world?
Oh. So was Simon having the same visions as his mother then?
Tom Sawyer, Mark Twain. Sarah must have read it to him before bed. Sleeping pills. Strong for an 11-year-old
He must
boy.
have.
What was wrong with this family? What nightmarish vision could have inspired them? Simon's troubles went beyond family problems. That kid saw something. Something terrified him.
Okay. With that, we will leave this video here. Oh wait, hold on. Something hidden in here.
The argument that led to their tragic end seems to have been simmering for some time.
Simon's private journal. He seemed worried about his mother and her attacks. Tension also seems to be growing between the Hawkins couple. Could the fire be the result of an argument? I have a feeling it could. Okay, that took care of that. Now, we will bring this episode to a close. Heard that. See you next time.